to Library Storytime. Our first story today is Prince Ribbit. Look at him. He looks really important there, doesn't he? And in this story, we have these two girls. The princess and the frog prince got married and lived happily ever after, read Princess Arabella, closing the book with a satisfied sigh. Princess Lucinda frowned. That silly girl treated the frog prince so badly. She was lucky he married her. If I ever met a talking frog, I wouldn't make the same mistake, agreed Arabella.
It's a fish.
Princess Martha rolled her eyes. She liked facts more than fairy tales and real frogs more than enchanted ones. She'd heard a real frog croaking in the royal pond many times, but she could never spot him. He's a clever little thing, thought Martha, I'm sorry. Martha was right. The frog was very clever indeed. He often listened in on the sisters' stories, and the more he heard of princes and princesses, the more he longed to live like them. The frog dreamed of sleeping in a soft bed, eating fine foods, and wearing a beautiful crown. And he'd just come up with a cunning plan to make his dream come true. He's just a regular frog, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yuck! Go away, you slimy little beast, shrieked Arabella and Lucinda as the frog hopped out in front of them. But the frog did not go away. Instead, he cleared his throat and spoke. He didn't say croak either. Allow me to introduce myself, said the sly frog. My name is Prince Ribbit. Arabella and Lucinda stared open-mouthed, but Martha was delighted. It's a frog, she shouted, a talking frog. Actually, I am an enchanted prince, he said. A jealous wizard turned me into a frog because I was so astonishingly handsome. If only there was a way to break the spell. But there it is, cried Lucinda. It's in this book. You just need to be looked after by a pretty princess like me. Or a pretty princess like me, said Arabella. And then you'll turn back into your old, astonishingly handsome self, and we can live happily ever after. Lucinda and Arabella took Prince Ribbit back to the palace and gave him whatever he wanted. Lucinda let him sleep on her pillow, while Arabella let him eat from her plate. I wouldn't want a frog to eat off of my plate. But the more Princess Martha saw the frog, the more suspicious she became. Why are you making such a fuss of him? She asked as Prince Ribbit hopped around the dinner table. Wow. Some people are smiling and some people are frowning. Some like it, some don't. Because he's an enchanted prince, said Arabella, and that's how you break the spell. Just because it's in the book doesn't mean it's true, said Martha. Look at poor Martha. She got food spilled on top of her head. And with that, she went to the royal library to look up the truth about frogs. A frog is a frog. A mother frog lays eggs, she explained to her sisters. Then the eggs turn into tadpoles. And the tadpoles turn into frogs. But frogs don't ever turn into princes. Just because it's in the book doesn't mean it's true. replied her sisters. So Lucinda and Arabella continued to pamper Prince Ribbit. They let him sleep in the biggest, softest bed. They really believed he might be a prince, didn't they? Mm-hmm. And gave him the finest clothing and a beautiful new crown. Look at him there, all dressed up. He's got a long train behind him and a crown on his head.
Whoa, that's purple.
Martha was the only person who saw Prince Ribbit for what he really was. You may be clever, but you're just an ordinary frog, she insisted. Just because it's in a book doesn't mean it's true, said Prince Ribbit. This is hopeless, thought Martha. My sisters will never believe me, no matter how many books of facts I show them. But I suppose I'm just as stubborn. I've never read their storybooks. Perhaps I should. So Martha gathered a big pile of fairy tales and began to read. She was surprised to find that while the stories might not be true, they were often funny, exciting, and inspiring. And after Martha had read them all, she knew exactly what to do with Prince Ribbit. Ooh, what do you think she's going to do? Did you say kiss him? Ooh. Would you kiss a frog?
No. I'd never kiss a frog.
If you're really an enchanted prince,
I never kiss a frog.
no. If you're really an enchanted prince, why hasn't the spell been broken yet? Martha asked Prince Ribbit the next morning. Prince Ribbit shifted uneasily in his little golden throne and adjusted his little golden crown. Perhaps it's because I've not been treated well enough, he suggested. You seem very well treated to me, said Martha. I think it's time to try something different. What's the one thing that will always break an evil spell?
I don't know.
True love's kiss, cried Arabella and Lucinda. Oh, boy.
I don't know what's going to happen yet.
Me first, said Arabella, planting a big wet smoocher on Prince Ribbit's clammy cheek. Look at him, his tongue's hanging out. Blech, he says. You don't love him as much as I do, said Princess Lucinda, snatching the frog from her sister and squashing his face in a passionate smooch. He's still got his tongue hanging out. Look, he has lipstick all over him.
Yeah.
But no matter how many kisses they gave him, Prince Ribbit remained very much a frog. And in the end, both princesses realized that this was all he'd ever been and all he'd ever be.
Me either. Oh, ever kiss a frog.
I suppose I should go back to my pond, sighed the frog, taking off his beautiful crown. But he looked so sad that Martha couldn't help feeling sorry for him. Please don't go, she said. Any animal smart enough to fool my sisters would be fun to have around. And while I might not want a handsome prince as a husband, I'd love to have a clever frog as a friend. She picked up the frog and gave him a gentle kiss.
Yes.
What do you think will happen now?
You'll turn into a prince.
Do you really think so?
Maybe. Come on, let's see. Kiss frog.
The instant Martha kissed him, a huge puff of pink smoke appeared, and the frog turned into a handsome young prince. In fact, he was so handsome that Martha decided that she did want to marry him after all. So she fell into his arms, and they both lived happily ever after. And if that's not the ending you were expecting, Then remember, just because it's in a book doesn't mean it's true. I thought that was a good story. I really liked that story, Prince Ribbit.
Me too.
Okay, Miss Lisa.
All right, boys and girls, we have the life cycle of a frog, and all of you have a piece of the life cycle. Do you remember what Miss Kim's book said? Is that frogs start off as an egg. So we are going to let Miss Kim hold the eggs, and I'm going to hold the big adult frog. Now, in between eggs and frogs, there are a lot of steps. So, who has the tadpole? Stand up, Hugh. Stand up and show everybody the tadpole. Can you turn it around? Turn around here by Miss Kim and show the camera the tadpole. That's right. So, eggs.
Here we go.
Turn it this way. Turn it over.
Turn him over. He's upside down.
Turn him over this way. Yep. So eggs turn into a tadpole.
Good job.
Now, after the tadpole, we have something called a froglet, because the tadpole is going to start to grow legs. So stay up here a minute, Hugh. So who has the tadpole with just one leg? Jackson, I think that's you. Okay, come and stand right here and turn around and show everybody at home. This is called a froglet. Okay, because it's a tadpole with only one leg. Good, stay right there. Now, do frogs only have one leg when they're a big daddy frog? No, they have four. And so the other legs have to start growing too. Okay, Madeline, come show everybody at home the froglet that has two legs, or actually four. And you can actually see right here that it's starting to get webbed feet. Isn't that cool? All right, so as this tadpole starts to grow, which part of his body starts to disappear, Madeline?
The tail.
The tail. So who has the frog with a long tail? Yep, come stand right here next to Madeline. And turn around and show the cameras. Show everybody out there. Yes, this is what a frog looks like when he still has his tail. Now, that tail is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. But, Jayla, can you stand up and show everybody that picture? Turn around, show everybody. This is what a frog looks like when he still has just a little baby tail. And then I've got the last picture over here of the big daddy frog, mommy frog. And so here's our whole life cycle, guys. We start off with eggs. We have a tadpole. We have froglet, and then we have the frog with a tail, with the tail starting to disappear, and then all gone all together. Good job, boys and girls. We put the life cycle of the frog together. Let me have your pieces. You guys can go sit down again. Awesome job. So, okay. So that was a story about a frog. Now, frogs live in ponds, and so do ducks, right?
Yeah.
So we have a story called The Ugly Duckling.
Hey, that's in super wide.
Yep, you might know this story, so just listen real good and see if there's something new you can learn about it. Once upon a time, Mother Duck sat gently on her eggs. Now, do these look like frog eggs?
No.
No, they're different kinds of eggs, but they're still eggs, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now, she had 3 small eggs in her nest, and she left them for just a moment to take a drink from the river. But first, she counted them. Can you help me? 1, 2, 3. Now, while she was away, something very strange happened. A large egg came bobbling along the river and landed plop, right into her mother duck's nest. Now, if she had 3 and she gets 1 more, how many does she have now? 4, that's right. When she returned, Mother Duck counted her eggs again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Now, how did that 4th egg get there, she wondered. The new egg was much bigger than the other 3. No matter, thought Mother Duck. I shall look after it and love it as though it were my very own. And she nestled herself back into the nest and kept her eggs snug and warm. Now, does a mommy frog sit on her eggs?
No.
No. So all animals do things differently, don't they?
Yeah.
So here the duck is sitting on her eggs. When a frog lays an egg, it just sort of floats off into the pond, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Hatches all by itself. Now soon, 3 of the eggs hatched. See them up here?
Yeah.
The little babies are starting to come out. And with a crack and a quack, 3 little ducklings, you're right. That's what a baby duck is called, right? 3 little ducklings tumbled out of their shell. And then the 4th egg hatched. But oh, how large and strange this baby was. Not at all like the other ducklings. It looked at Mother Duck and said, honk, honk. Now, do ducks go honk, honk?
Quack, quack.
Right, so what's honking? This is weird, right? Mother Duck doesn't know what's happening. No matter, said Mama Duck. I shall love this one just the same. Look at her. Is she loving that baby?
Yeah.
Now, the very next day, Mother Duck and her ducklings met an old turkey. That's right, that's a turkey, walking along the riverbank next to the farm. How strange one of your ducklings looked, gobbled the old turkey. It's ugly, said the 3 ducklings unkindly, and they peeped with delight. Aw, is this one ugly?
No.
It's just different, right? Honk, honk, said the ugly duckling sadly. But Mother Duck said, no matter, little one, I love you just the same. And they swam on their way. Look, you think he feels a little bit left out? As he doesn't look the same? Doesn't sound the same? A little while later, the duck family met 2 rude ducks who were quarreling in the barnyard. They stopped and they stared when they saw the ugly duckling. What an ugly duckling, one of them said.
That's not nice.
Surely that can't be a duck, said the other. Look at those 2. They are really being mean to him. Oh, who's here?
A frog.
A frog, yeah. The frog is watching in the pond. Leave him alone, said the Mama Duck. I'm sure he will grow up to be a fine duck. Honk, honk, said the ugly duckling. What's that awful noise? Quacked one of the ducks. That's not natural, quacked the other duck. Come along, said Mother Duck to her ducklings, and she led them away from those rude ducks. The ugly duckling began to cry. He got his feelings hurt, right? What did you cry? Oh, he's crying.
Because everyone said, the duck said, well, ugly duckling.
I know, that's awful, right? Don't cry, little one, said the Mama Duck. I love you just the same. And look what Mama's doing, giving that little duck a nice big hug. Then the ugly duckling came upon 2 hens. See the hens? Mama chickens?
I got angry.
And they're pecking at seeds that were on the riverbank. When they looked up and saw him, they clucked and they squawked and they clucked again. The ugly duckling became frightened and ran away through the tall hedge full of small birds. Look at all these birds. He's running for his life. Oh, what's down here, guys?
A frog. A frog.
You think that's a frog? Well, look,
Lizard.
I think it's a lizard. Yeah, I think so. He's running for his life. Look, he's all scared. Those hens were just being really mean to him. Come back, called Mother Duck. But the ugly duckling could not hear her. The small birds nesting in the hedge took flight. This is because I'm so ugly, thought the ugly duckling. See, they're running away from him, he thought. And so he ran on until he was all alone.
And grown up.
Well, not yet. I shall hide from the world, he honked. And soon the days grew shorter, and the wind grew colder and colder. And what came when it's cold?
Winter.
Winter came. The ugly duckling was all on his own, but he had grown up. Yeah, he had grown up. He's all by himself, though, but now it's winter, and he's all by himself. Time passed, and the days grew longer again, and the winds blew warmer, and soon it was
Summer.
summertime. Spring first, right? Spring and then summer. The ugly duckling hid himself in the tall green reeds beside the stream. No one wants me, he thought, and he began to cry again. Honk, honk, honk. Just then, a flock of beautiful swans, look at them, passed overhead and heard his sad little honk. A black swan flew down beside him. Come and join us, honked the swan. You want me to join you? Asked the ugly duckling. Of course, honked the swan. But I'm an ugly duckling and no one wants to be with me, said the ugly duckling. You're a swan, honked the swan. You're a beautiful swan. Me, a swan, honked the ugly duckling.
But hey, that's a black. But hey, that's a black duck.
It's a black swan. Yep, go ahead and sit down so we can finish reading it. Take a look at yourself in the stream and you'll see you are a swan. You're just like me, honked his friend. The ugly duckling looked into the water. Don't you know that sometimes you can see your reflection in the water?
Yeah, I know.
And sure enough, there looking back at him was a beautiful swan. Was he a duckling? No, he was a swan. The ugly duckling spread his wings and he honked for the whole world to hear. I'm not an ugly duckling, he honked. I am a beautiful swan. You don't quack like a duck and you don't waddle, said the black swan. You glide and you honk just like me and all the other swans. Then the two beautiful swans took to the air to join the flock. And they lived happily ever after. Yep, good job, guys. And that's the story of the ugly duckling. Now, Miss Kim has just one more story for us. You guys ready?
Yeah.
One more story.
You kind of have to watch close and try to guess in this story. Whose shoe?
Now shoe.
Whose shoe? That's the name of this one. There's something in that tall bamboo. Do you see it?
It's a shoe.
Right there.
And me. Hey!
Oh my goodness, it's a shoe. Finders keepers? That's not true. I'll find the owner of the shoe. I wonder whose shoe that is.
That shoe.
Tiger, I have found a shoe. Who has lost it? Was it you? You think that looks like a tiger shoe?
No. It's a person's shoe.
It wasn't I, as you can see. That shoe would be too small for me. My feet are dainty, but I know my claws need space if they're to grow. But someone's lost it, don't you see? For him, that's a catastrophe. He might still have the other shoe and be unhappy. Wouldn't you? I'll try to find him. I'll pursue it. It will be good if I can do it.
Let me go.
Spider, I have found a shoe. I know it's way too big for you. Still, I won't be polite. I'm asking everyone in sight. I see your mother taught you well. You've got good manners, I can tell. My shoes are tiny, you are right. I always tie the laces tight. If I lost one, I'd be upset. Spider shoes are hard to get. I have 8. I take great care of all my shoes since they are rare. They are very tiny. Mina bird, is this your shoe? I think it might belong to you. Do you think that shoe fits on those feet?
No. Can you do that with another one?
That shoe would be way too big for me. As I fly high from tree to tree, it might fall off on someone's head. I leave my shoes at home instead. It's very nice of you to try, but shoes are useless if you fly. Hippo, have you lost this shoe? I found it in the tall bamboo. You think that might be a hippo-sized shoe?
No, he has bigger feet. Yeah.
There's one thing I find hard to take when I'm standing in my lake. I hate that mud between my toes. I'm rather fussy, I suppose. So I wear shoes. I have 4 pair, and I don't really need a spare. I want to thank you for inquiring. Your honesty is quite inspiring.
That one's your first.
Hello! I found a lonesome shoe. Someone lost it. Was it you?
No.
What do you think about that elephant?
No, he has shoes.
She has shoes on, but maybe she had a second pair. I'd never wear a shoe like that. I like high heels, and that's one's flat. These high heels make my ankles trim. They make my legs look really slim. So thank you, but I must decline. My high-heeled shoes suit me just fine. I think that's funny. The elephant thinks his legs look slim. Good morning to you, kangaroo. I found this handsome, lonesome shoe. You think it might be the kangaroo shoe?
No, it's too big.
Oh, goodness me. That is my shoe. I threw it into the bamboo. I have to say I am astounded that you actually found it. It hurt my foot. That made me cross. I gave the shoe a heavy toss. Would you like to have this shoe? It's not worn out. It's still brand new. Thank you kindly, kangaroo. That's so considerate of you. I know exactly what to do with this handsome, lonesome shoe. What do you think he will do with it?
Kiss it.
A little mouse. What would a little mouse do with a big shoe like that?
Sell it like it's sold.
Who said that shoes are just for feet? I'm glad my search is now complete. The stars are shining overhead. I'm happy in my king-size bed. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, he finally decided to keep the shoe for a bed for himself. All right, well, that was a good story, and I like that. You didn't guess it, did you? That was a surprise. All right. Well, we've had a good time today, haven't we? Yeah. All right. Well, we're just all finished, so it is time for us to all stand.
Stand up.
And let's tell them goodbye. Can
Turn
you
around.
wave at them?
Turn around.
Turn around and wave at them.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Say bye.